Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's lecture. Today we're going to talk about gambling. And before I talk about gambling, I want you to understand this is not to encourage you to gamble. This isn't to promote Las Vegas or anything. But gambling and Las Vegas, the casinos, have all become an important part of our culture. And I think it's important that you understand what it is, how it works, and who gambles. Well, first of all, in our audience, how many of you like to gamble? Can I see your hands if you like to gamble? So of the 6 of you, maybe 3 of you like to gamble. Oh, we'll start with Rebecca. You didn't have your hand up. Why don't you gamble?
I don't like the risk.
It's risk, so you don't like to lose money, perhaps. All right, Christine?
I like playing bingo with my grandma, but that's about it.
Oh, so you play bingo with your grandma. Where do you play?
She goes to a place where a bunch of people come and they all play.
Oh, is this like through her church?
Actually, it's just a community center.
Oh, okay, so it is a way that the community center has fun and maybe they raise money from this. Okay, great. So there are different reasons why people like to gamble, and some people don't like to gamble. All right, so as you may know, Las Vegas is considered to be the most popular place to gamble. In fact, it is America's #1 tourist destination, and most of the people who go there because they like to gamble. Las Vegas is a beautiful place. It's an amazing place. There's lots of beautiful casinos and lots of activities, shows, lots of things you can do there. But there's no secret that it is also tied to crime shows, such as CSI, one of the most popular television shows. So many people who think of Las Vegas, they don't think of the fun and the excitement. They think of maybe some of the side effects, which are the crime. There's a famous quotation that goes with Las Vegas. It's, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. This means that maybe sometimes the behavior that people do there is not exactly things they want to talk about when they get back to their hometown. The 4 things we're going to talk about today in the presentation, we're going to talk about the history of gambling in the United States. We'll talk about the different types of gambling that people like to do. We'll talk about the benefits of organized or approved gambling by governments. And we'll also talk about the negatives. All right, so historically in the United States, gambling goes back, believe it or not, to the early days of our country when we were fighting a war against Great Britain. The United States, before it was even the United States, needed money. So they sold lottery tickets. And so this was, even in the early days, a sign that gambling was maybe something that Americans liked. Because in Europe at this time, almost no countries allowed gambling, but we had it in the United States. Even today, though, the lottery is very popular. The lottery, incidentally, died shortly after we became a country because it was associated with corruption and crime, and maybe the people selling the tickets didn't always do this in a correct way. So gambling soon lost its interest on a national level. In the 1800s, there were 2 cities in the United States where gambling was not legal, but it was widely accepted. New Orleans and San Francisco. Has anyone here been to New Orleans? Yeah. Kate, what happened? What's going on in New Orleans? Why do people like to go to New Orleans?
There was a lot going on in New Orleans. They had a lot of music and jazz.
And drinking and dancing and girls in the street. And voodoo, so a lot of behavior that was maybe not acceptable or normal in other places was very, very popular in New Orleans. Although it was not legal, it was widely accepted, and maybe the police didn't care if you gambled or not. San Francisco, gambling became very popular in about 1850. Does anyone know what was happening in Northern California about 1850? Kelly? The gold rush, that's right. Many people who wanted some excitement to look for gold. Maybe they were taking a chance, maybe they were gambling their life by moving to California to look for gold, where gold was discovered. So the nature of many of the people who went there was based on a gamble, a risk. And so San Francisco and Northern California became very, very popular for gambling. I thought one thing that was interesting about studying this was the people who gambled were very non-judgmental. It was very open, non-discriminatory. The Chinese, women, blacks, whites, all seemed to gamble freely and easily with each other, even though in America at that time it was not common for these groups of people to participate together. But gambling was a unifying factor for the people in San Francisco. But eventually, because of the problems associated with it, gambling in these areas became a little bit illegal. The popular places to gamble, no, I think I missed a slide. Oh, okay, we skipped this one. All right, so San Francisco had gambling in the 1850s. But it was in 1931 where legally the state of Nevada, which is Las Vegas, actually approved of gambling. They opened their first casinos. The couple things going on at that time is, number one, America was in a Great Depression. Financially, America was having very, very difficult times, especially the states. So Nevada decided, hey, maybe we could open casinos and we could collect taxes from tourism and other reasons. So Nevada in 1931 approved this. They also did it because there were a lot of illegal places to gamble, and this allowed Nevada and Las Vegas to control how gambling occurred. At about the same time, again, during the Great Depression, the financially bad times for America, horse racing in 7 states, including Ohio, Kentucky, but not Indiana, allowed it. And again, a way for people to gamble, a way for the state governments to collect money. And also about this time, in the city of Pittsburgh, the game of bingo came over from England, and this was another way that people liked to gamble. Later, bingo would become very popular in churches, Catholic churches, as well as other groups that would use it as a way to make money. So these were popular all back in the Great Depression, and still are available today. It was in 1964, though, that was also a very important date in terms of gambling, and that was when the state of New Hampshire, one of our tiny little states up by Boston, approved of a lottery. And a lottery is where you can buy a ticket with numbers, and it allows you to win a prize. Today, 43 of our states have lotteries organized by the states, 43 of them. And when you combine different forms of gambling, 48 of our 50 states allow and encourage some form of gambling, whether it's a casino or lottery or horse racing. That's 48 out of 50. Only Utah and Hawaii do not have any form of gambling. So interesting to know about those states. Let's talk about casinos for a minute. And these are the popular games. You might be familiar with what they are, maybe not the names. A slot machine is a game where you put in a coin or maybe a money card, and you pull a handle, and it makes lots of noise or maybe music, and it's very exciting, and it is the number one way that people like to gamble in a casino, by far. Men and women like it a lot. Number 2 is blackjack. Some people call this game 21. It is a game of cards, like poker, number 3. Roulette is the game where they spin a wheel and throw a little ball, and the ball lands on a number, and if you guess what number is going to come up, that's how you win your prize. And then dice. People love to play with the dice and throw the dice, and that game is called craps, and those are your 5 popular casino games. Some important numbers, and these are according to a Harris study. Harris is a casino, so keep that in mind. These are numbers from the perspective of a casino. They have casinos all over the country. 900 right now is the estimated number of legal casinos in the United States. About half of them, 457, are owned by private companies, like Harrah's, Caesars Palace, the big names. But the other half of them are run by the Native American Indians, who have special permission from the state governments to use casinos as a way to make money for their organizations and their Indian tribes. These two numbers are interesting, 46% and 56%. 46 represents the number of people who say they have been in a casino in the past 12 months, in the past year. Almost half of Americans have gone to a casino in the past 1 year. 56%, more than half, have said they have been in a casino at some point in their life. 59% is very interesting. This is the number of American adults who approve of organized gambling. This number is way up from just 50 years when gambling was considered to be something that bad people did, something that involved crime, the bad people. So it was interesting for me to see that today, a far majority of Americans, 59%, think gambling is a good thing. And we'll talk in a moment about why they think it's good. 10%, a little less than 10%, is the average win for the casinos. So if you put down, or if you gamble $100, statistically, on the average, you're only going to win 90 of it. The casino is going to earn 10. And when you multiply that by the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars that are gambled, that's what the average game allows. Slot machines, it's much worse, or better for the casinos, maybe it's 12%. Blackjack and some of the other card games is closer to 7%. And 4%, just a tiny little number of Americans who say they gamble online. This will be the next big problem for governments to figure out how to control online gambling. But Harrah's, the casino, tells us that right now online gambling is not a big factor when it comes to gambling. Another form that is also important to consider is sports betting. This is when you gamble on games by professional athletes. Only 4 states allow it. One is Nevada, which is Las Vegas, Oregon, Montana, and Delaware. Can anyone here tell me why these 4 states allow sports gambling and none of the others? These 4 states do not have a professional sports team. The professional sports teams of baseball, basketball, hockey do not want anything to do with states that allow gambling. Because, of course, sometimes the outcome of the games might be influenced by a little bit of gambling. And there's an important player in Major League Baseball, a former player, one of my great heroes from the Cincinnati Reds, Pete Rose. He was one of the best players ever. But as a baseball coach, he gambled on games. Baseball said, bye-bye, Pete Rose. We don't want ever to see you again at a game. So as much as America loves gambling and has now accepted gambling, it is still not accepted by these sports organizations, because this can completely ruin a sport if gamblers have an influence on who wins or loses the games. And Pete Rose is an important reminder for that. All right, so let's talk briefly about the benefits of gambling. Half of our class here said that it's fun. It's good for tourism, big business. Lots of people come to gamble. They provide good jobs. Casinos collect and provide a lot of tax money for communities. In fact, in Nevada, the people there do not have to pay income tax, which here in Indiana, we pay about 4%. In Nevada, they don't pay any. The casinos provide most of the money for the state and local governments. And also when it comes to the lottery, there are, I know 2 states in particular, Georgia and New Mexico, where students who are good high school students don't have to pay for college. Their college education is completely paid for by the proceeds that the states collect through their lottery programs. And so there are many, many benefits to gambling for communities. Now here are the downside or drawbacks to gambling. Estimates vary on the percentage of people who become addicted or hooked or cannot stop gambling. Numbers range anywhere from 20 to 30%, depending on the community and how close they are to casinos and legalized forms of gambling. For me personally, I think my sister likes to go to casinos, and I think she's just wasting her money, because the more she gambles, the likelihood she's going to lose. And I just think it's a silly waste of money. Many communities, I think of Atlantic City, New Jersey, the #1 crime city in America, was the 2nd city to allow legalized gambling and casinos. Las Vegas has done a pretty good job of controlling the amount of crime there. It's a very safe place to go if you stay within the casino environment called the Strip. But Las Vegas allows prostitution. It is where women or men collect money for sex. And so when you think about Las Vegas, attracts people who gamble, take risks, and maybe do other behaviors that come with it that maybe you probably don't want to allow in your home community. Right now, though, here in Indiana, where there are 11 casinos, there's a problem. Now, there are too many casinos. In the early years of Las Vegas, in the 70s, when they became very popular, Atlantic City, casinos were very new and exciting. But now, they've become quite common. New casinos are having trouble surviving because, quite honestly, there are too many of them. And one other serious drawback is depression and suicide. The communities and the cities that have legalized gambling have a much higher rate of people dealing with personal problems, in fact, even considering death, when they get in too much over their head with gambling. So if you're thinking about going gambling, I have a couple suggestions for you that the experts say. First, set a budget. determine how much money you are able to lose. Because probably, if you're like most people, you're not going to win a lot of money. So be prepared, set a budget, and stop. If you lose, say $100, and you lose $100, stop. Walk away and take in a show or go do something else, because that's how sometimes people get in big trouble. Learn the games, know the rules, watch other people play before you play. The game of craps, I still don't understand how to play. I've watched it 100 times and I still don't know what they're doing. I don't play it because I want to be sure I understand how to play the game. Know the rules. Know the house edge. This is the term that means what percentage the casino is keeping on average from the losers. For example, if we played a simple game of dice, and if you rolled a higher number, you win. If I roll a higher number, I win. But in Las Vegas, if we tie, Las Vegas wins. So keep that in mind. Las Vegas there's an edge or a percentage that you need to know about. Which games have the best chance for you to win? Know those games, because you'd be surprised why anybody would play slot machines, because they have the worst edge for the players. Go with a friend. If you have a friend to talk to, maybe you will enjoy the activity more than if you played by yourself. This might be the biggest one. Don't combine gambling with alcohol. This is when maybe your sensibilities or your understanding of what's going on is lost. And some of the biggest losers who gamble have alcohol as part of the reason why they lost so much money. Enjoy yourself. Go and plan to have a good time, and don't concentrate too much on losing money or you will not have a good time. And like Kenny Rogers, a famous gambler, said, when you gamble, you just simply need to know when to walk away and when to run. So if you gamble, have a good time, and thank you for listening.